Hello, and welcome to Confessions of a Successful Leader, hosted by me, Andrew Tallents, the self-coaching expert. In each episode of the show, we hear the insightful confessions of a successful leader who wants to inspire others to live their professional and personal dreams. I am always keen to hear your feedback, particularly in relation to the kinds of leaders you would like me to invite onto the show in future. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rich insights from our special guest. Hello and welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Successful Leader, hosted by me, Andrew Tallents, the self-coaching expert. I'm delighted that Jennifer Herren has joined me in the studio today. Jennifer is a multifaceted and passionate entrepreneur, a trilingual qualified coach, and an enthusiastic explorer of the world and herself. She is a catalyst for change from the inside out for entrepreneurial spirits. Jennifer founded Let It Happen in 2019, a platform of transformation and an art of living which invites others into a way of being and working. Her mission is to raise awareness of the infinite power we all have within and to reconnect us to our inner space, leadership, and vision for more meaning, confidence, and impact. Before starting her business, which is her life's work, she held various positions in startups and leading multinationals in a diverse range of industries, including the coffee industry, sport, and the beauty industry, to name a few, mainly in international business-to-business sales. She now works with founders, aspiring entrepreneurs, innovators, managers, and any individuals who are ready for what's next, for more professional alignment, well-being, satisfaction, and impact connected to a vision of harmony and contribution. Her origins and curiosity have led her to spend time living in Switzerland, Australia, the UK, and Spain. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Very happy to be here in the show, and thank you very much for this introduction.
No, well, I love what you've obviously included in the introduction there, and it tells us so much about the eclectic nature of you and your experience. So why don't we expand upon that to begin with, and the audience learn a bit more about you, yourself, what you stand for in terms of personal beliefs, and also your current focus.
Yeah, so, well, who I am and what I stand for. So, yeah, I grew up in Switzerland. I'm Spanish. And what I love the most in life is just learning, to be constantly learning, exploring myself and the world, as you mentioned it in the introduction. And now I'm lucky to be doing that as my profession, as my work, and also helping others know more about themselves. So this is my focus, to really be serving myself and others on different kind of ways, one-on-one or workshops, or like in corporate world, or really individuals. And my current focus at the moment is not only doing that, but really creating something more exclusive, to be more, nurturing, like an inner space, and so that, just a hub that can also connect like-minded entrepreneurs. And for me, an entrepreneur is not only someone who has a business, it's really a spirit, a way that you walk your life, how you want to be in charge as well of your life. So this is a project that I have, and to continue the diversity that I'm lucky to have in my life, and with the people I work with, or the project that I choose to engage with. So yeah, that's who I am. I don't know if I have said much, but yeah.
Yeah. And since we first met, I've always loved your energy, your natural energy, and obviously people feel that around you. So tell us a little bit more about what you do outside of work that then enables you to maintain that energy. What do you do outside of work to, your own interests?
Yeah, so I spend a lot of time actually with myself, and that's what helps me and what I love is in nature. So what I have found super helping it's to connect to our own nature and nature. So and that means also our originality. So this helps me, to really connect to the sea or to the sun, or just walking in natural environments, and so spending time alone, traveling. Yeah, I travel quite a lot. For some people, a lot. It's true. I love movement. Also, as being quiet, and I dance. This is something that I actually wanted to do since a lot. I had in mind and to just dance, and I could see myself, kind of like, oh, I want to be like Beyonce, to just to say someone that people can, in those video clips. And actually, it went hand by hand as well with my own understanding of what helps me as well, being out of the mind, reconnected to the body, and also connected with other people. So I also dance, with other people, like couple dance or just individual dance, but more couple dance actually. And that really helped me as well. Just have fun, being in the moment. And there are so many different so many similarities with actually the way of living a life that is, connected in the moment, having fun, being with the other, following the music, the flow, and really being in that state. So yeah, this is something I do outside as well, my work.
Yeah. And what particular style of dance have you appreciated the most? Which have you enjoyed the most?
Yeah, so what I do since a year is bachata. So this is, and actually it's sensual bachata. So it's with movements as well, like very sensual, which ask you to exaggerate if you're not used to that, and to be out there. And in dance, it's a lot about the attitude. And of course, you need some basic skills, but in general, what makes the difference is also how you show up, and how you are with your movement, and the grace as well that you can bring. And all of that is the same with coaching, entrepreneurship, leadership. It's really how you show up, and with which confidence and from which space. So yeah, I dance that, and it's teaching me a lot actually to have fun. And even when you dance, when it's not in couple but with yourself, you look at yourself in the mirror, and and you are here, and you need to believe it, and to be in that character, of that confident, empowered person. And it's not easy for a lot of people to be like this. And for me, I have learned as well a lot, because being with people that are already doing it, it puts you in it helps you actually saying, hey, yeah, I can do it myself too, and for me, it was not really about looking at myself in the mirror, but really being that really out there character. And I feel that this is awesome with dance. But also what I notice is that attitude can make the difference if you don't have a good level at the beginning, but long term, obviously you need to have some, more skills, and to really be seen as someone dancing well. It's like, I think every professional work, you can maybe at the beginning, like, have a lot of have an impact because you say some stuff, but if you are not deep on the mid-long run, you are going to be exposed as not really, as just superficial. You know what I mean? So that was also for me an interesting, not learning, but just, not even comparison, but yeah, something that you can really plasmate into also your professional aspect, entrepreneurship, or yeah.
I love that, and it takes us to an area of almost playfulness, really, because I see, dance being that in terms of having that playful nature as well. And we have that in our childhood, and then we sometimes lose it and don't reconnect with it again. So, what about your earlier experiences when you were in your childhood or your teens? What was about your upbringing that shaped your early leadership style?
Yeah. So first, I just want to define what is for me a leadership, and also in a way, because when helping my clients, I talk a lot about like personal leadership. And when I talk as well, like when I help managers or founders that have a team, then comes as well like the leadership with others. But it always for me comes from your personal leadership first. And of course, for me, it's not something that when I was younger in my teens or, childhood or even in my 20s that I was really asking myself about my leadership. But just to answer your question, for me, leadership is really, the relationship you have with yourself, with others, how you show up actually for yourself and for others and with others. And so it's an ongoing process, obviously, because I'm still, developing in a way my leadership as I'm developing myself as a person. And there has been like different stages, but from my childhood, what shaped my relationship with myself, if we just take that as a context for when I was younger, it's first my environment, my family environment. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So this is the normal for me, and it's very performance driven. And then I am very in charge, like you do your own thing and you work hard and you make money, but money based on really like, that hard work. So there was a lot of positive things and also other aspects that then I can uncover of how it evolved. But then I started very young artistic gymnastic, which was another environment which was very competitive, not necessarily between us, even though you could also have competition between us, but you have some competition, you are judged, you need to be perfect, you need to be a certain way and delivering on and this for me has shaped the relationship with myself because I was completely cut from my emotions. And it was very, I wasn't at the time like really obviously noticing that, but in automatic pilot, because I started so young, I didn't really question, do I really want to do that? Even though sometimes I could have a door, I remember my mom like saying to me, are you sure you want to continue? And I was, yes. But also because I didn't know anything else. When you are in that, just like going to school, going training, sleeping, doing your homework, sleeping, going to school, training, you are in that cycle that actually it's your life, and you don't know anything else, and you just keep on. And that made me being at 20 without knowing myself and being completely in that performance mode, doing mode, do, and very mental as well, very intellectual, all in the head, because it's a lot of discipline as well that is required. So all of that shaped my relationship with myself, being very hard with myself, demanding with myself, with others, a lot of expectations from myself, from others, because everything that you are with yourself, in a way, you are with others. So I feel that those two really shaped in an early age and my 20s, because then, I left and things started to evolve. But at least until my 20 years old, I feel that very doing performance discipline, you need to be perfect in a way, and also positive, and don't complain, keep going. This has shaped, like the fact of, okay, even if I don't feel good, it's not even acknowledged, because I need to keep going, and it's, and be positive, so it has been like a lot of like not acknowledging actually a lot of myself, of my emotion, of not only my emotional world, but actually my internal world a lot.
What I love about what you said there is, and I guess this is why you're so good working with your clients. There are so many of the clients that we work with who have been very successful leaders early in their careers who have behaved in exactly the way that you're describing, and they gain short-term to medium-term success, but they cut themselves off from those emotions. And you said don't really understand who they are in relationship. They lose sight of that. And then they learn to really build sustainable success. They need to be different in relationships. When did you first notice that maybe that drive and that earlier experiences that were shaping you weren't necessarily going to be serving you in the medium to long term?
Yeah. So first, it's been when I left to live in Australia, and suddenly I am in the other way, on the other side of the world, and no coincidence, I guess, that I choose to leave, and but of course, all of that I'm telling now, like at the moment, it was completely, most of it was unconscious. It was pushed by some desires, and like some stuff that I was sensing, but I couldn't articulate it. Like now it's looking backwards that of course I can articulate and see that. But I went to live in Australia, and Australia was completely neutral. So I don't speak I don't speak very well the language. It's another culture. I don't have family. I don't have friends. It's okay. I'm out there. So I needed to connect with myself to actually, hey, what do you want? Where do you want to shop? Because when you live in the same country that you have grown up, or see your family, you will, there are a lot of chances that you will go to the same shop that you saw your mom shop, and that you will buy the same brand that you have been like eating all your life, And suddenly I was there with no reference apart from what do I want to choose. And that for me was also a revelation of how much I didn't know myself first. And secondly, yeah, the fact that I have known there other people and lifestyles, that also opened another possibility of living. And in that, it also allowed the contrast of like, oh, there is that, I'm here. And actually, for example, I do remember I was, it's just an example, but because it was a certain time for me, we needed to eat, but not because I was hungry, not because, it's just because it was the time. And, like, I don't know, it needed to operate that way, when a person was like, well, I mean, we don't, it doesn't matter if it's 4 p.m. If we want to eat now, we can eat now. It was those kind of little daily kind of, that shakes you like gently, because that was gentle, but, or sometimes hard even, but it just, like just you feel the contrast, and then you realize that maybe a certain way of behaving or thinking or being with yourself was not that much contributing. So that was one thing that already like made me see, ooh, okay, there is something here. Then when I started when I was living in London, I started psychotherapy, which I'm still doing, because also I think for the work that I'm doing, it's super important to be surrounded, supported by professionals, but also for me, it's just, how can I say, it's important to, you go to the doctor to have your like checks, and why not having those like healthy like checkings, like because the way I work now with my psychotherapist is more like the unconscious. And so these also help me have a professional that is neutral, suddenly say, hey, this is okay to feel that way, or this was a dynamic that was not, it's an unbalanced dynamic, for example. So really having those spaces and that feedback from someone that is a professional in that space also helped me realize my dysfunctional sometimes behaviors, or how I was with myself, like that I was not helping myself with being maybe overcritical, judgmental, or just black and white, and so this helped me. And then of course my business, like the moment I started my project, this has been like the deepest. I was already in personal development, like for 10 years when I started, since 10 years when I started, but the last 5 years have been a big dive into, like the intimacy with myself that I can then offer, as you said before, like to others. When I hold the space, the more I can go into myself, the more I allow also people to go into their own, like self, and contact also with all the parts of themselves. So yeah, it's all of that have been moments, but of course not just one moment, but that helped me just realize how maybe unserving some memories or experiences, or that then becomes like behavior, or like things that you don't question because it's just the way it is, in yourself or outside yourself. And yeah, and then you just have more awareness, and you can decide what to do with that if you want to do something.
Absolutely. And thank you for being open as well around the therapy and how that supports. I also had therapy a couple of years ago, and there was a really eureka moment for me where the therapist said to me, Andrew, we've been seeing each other now for several weeks, and you know that you only ever talk about I. It's never we or us, or, it's always I. And that was really interesting for me, because it wasn't suggesting I was selfish. It was just I had one lens of my lens looking at it through me, never in relationships. And that was when I was, 52 years old. So it just shows we have this learning, and it leads to then us making different decisions in life about what we do. So what about you in 2018, 2019? What was it that led to you to deciding to start your own, this business, bearing in mind your career before that?
Yeah. So, and that's directly linked then also with the leadership that has evolved as well from that point. So what led me is that I always knew I wanted to have my business. I have always been an entrepreneur at mine. As I said, it's the normality in my family. And also just because I never saw myself like really going to working for someone to say something 9 to 5, like Monday to Friday. I'm like, until 60 something, I was like, what? This is not what I'm gonna do for sure. But I also I knew from one part that, I wanted to gain experience in-house. So I wanted to gather, experience. So I was not building a CV. I was really building experience for my future business. And then there was the part that was a critical part, that I want a business, but I don't know what to do, how to do it, when. So it was like the what, how, when. And, so I just explored. Life made me really have a very, I think, wide range of experiences. It wasn't chosen that I would do multinational startups and a multitude of different industries. It just happened that way. And but that was great because I could really see different style of management. I could see different style of company sizes, different style of culture, and also not only the culture of the country I was working in, but also of the industry. Because when you work in the luxury industry, it's not the same as the lifestyle sport industry, it's not the same as consumer goods, and it's not the same as real estate. So, it was just a way to also be in contact with those different things. And what happened is that I was never happy because I always wanted more. I wanted to learn more. Unfortunately or fortunately, I have not been really embraced I mean, in Switzerland, yes, but in the UK, it has been harder and I had very difficult experiences because maybe of the culture of how I also came in more like straight, direct, and maybe I needed to temper a little bit more, but I was younger as well. But it was just that I was always on my hungry for more, and I didn't have a management that was embracing, like evolution, learning, or even the enthusiasm and motivation I had to contribute to the company, which for me, and like along the years, it has been very hard and it affected me. And it came to a point that I couldn't take the decision because I still didn't know what I wanted to do, even though, like there was that well-being, personal development that was there, but I never saw that as a job, because then, I mean, even if it was in full development, I don't know, I didn't see it as a job. And it's funny because I could see newsletter of like very famous coaches, but somehow didn't acknowledge it as a possibility. So, until you, and this is what I always say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and suddenly you can have the same reality and really see either the gifts or the possibilities, or, it's the same. It's just that now you are ready to see it. So it's what happened. Like basically suddenly life shut down like doors for me extraordinarily. And I was just done of like hitting my head against a wall, like not being happy, like looking for that fulfillment, like working, because that was very important for me to be, happy professionally, because we're spending like at least 8 hours a day if we do the common, so it's like, and suddenly, it was a decision actually not to be an employee anymore. And from that statement of like, I'm not going to go back as an employee in a company, because I could really feel that it was over after a long time dragging. So I still want to say that, because even though we can have like some decisions that are in 1 second and your life is changing, I really truly believe and observe that there is a massive process before. And yes, suddenly, boom, boom, things are like accelerating. But, I have been also like I could have maybe done that like a couple of years ago, like earlier, and not being in that stretch. And then I started in 6 months, I just put in place the business model and decided I just found it, let it happen. And from that space, I could really just do what was actually fulfilling my soul, myself, and from that space and that process, that gave me also space, because that's a choice I made consciously, unconsciously, to have that space for myself. Then it contributes for sure, every person, every project I'm involved. So that's why I started Let It Happen. And then my leadership evolved in a sense that, because of all the managers and that you can sometimes call leaders, in the corporate world, most of them I was very disappointed and not looking up to. So what I didn't like for me was a way to say, okay, I don't want to be that. So what else, and it's a way I work a lot, and also I invite people that not have that clarity. Sometimes it's not about knowing what it is, but maybe just going to, maybe you already know what you don't like or don't want. Take that, and how can it be the opposite or something, that that is in the other direction. And that's for me is the way I have been working a lot, not really knowing, concretely, but having that sense and direction, but definitely being redirected by this. Definitely I don't. This I definitely I don't. And so this helped me. And then it has been in the last 5 years with the mentors I have been working with also, because I mostly work online. So then, I have been inspired by some leaders in the online space that also helped me understand what was resonating with me. And it can change also from phases to, in different phases, you resonate more with some people because you evolve also. And sometimes you just need a specific leader or wisdom teaching in your life, or even leadership, to show up. And then you don't need that anymore, and that evolves. But that helped me. And then this is what happened with Let It Happen.
Excellent. And I love your philosophy in life. And I know when we first spoke, we share that. And I think it's interesting for people listening and watching this, where we say, yeah, everything happens for a reason, the bad and the good. So when you get to a place in your life, if you're in a place where you're ready to receive it, it will appear. And I really do believe that. But you do need to be in that mindset and state of being rather than doing to be able to be ready to receive it. So how do you now, in 2024, maintain as much as you can that level of being rather than doing, and trusting the process?
So that has been one of the main teachings, exactly what you have said, like beingness, being, and it's a balance, of course. Like, it's not that you don't do anything anymore, but maybe you do it differently or from another space. And what I mean by that is like you will still action, but not from I have to, I should, but rather from there is an inspiration, there is a push, there is something that I want to, even if maybe and most of the time I'm with fear, but there is another, there is a different energy. But that beingness is really linked as well to allowing. There is that yin feminine energy of receptivity. And for me, it has been, and it's also the teaching of let it happen in a way. And there is no coincidence, because I don't know if you have read the book, The Inner Game of Tennis, from Timothy Galway. Yeah, so it was the summer 2019, and I was about, it was August, I was about to launch my business, and I was looking for a name, and I was on that page, and suddenly Let It Happen really what? Like when you have that, it's like I resonate with that so much. And there is something that is softening in me, when I read, about this Let It Happen, or just I tune into that frequency, and I just picked it up, but it has become the most teaching for myself, and then I understood also all that comes with that. But basically, yes, it's rebalancing, being more in harmony between that beingness, being, doing, which is often linked to what I've said at the beginning, with that performance, with that proving that you are good enough, that you are good, that you are deserving. So it's also, and so those are some aspects. And what you have said, also the trusting is a biggie, like confidence in oneself. Like for me, it's the way I see it, that trust is trust in oneself, own resourcefulness, capacity, sensitivity, so in yourself, in life, in the process, and others. And that's very important, because if you want to be empowering, or at least creating an empowering space, you need to be, allowing also the person to be in his, her personal power, which means also responsibility, so that something can really come alive from the inside out. So yeah, that's been the massive teaching. And now I've lost the beginning of your question, but
No, you're just in it. You're being in it, and that leads us to a question I'd love you to answer about the audience that are listening to this. So, anybody that can actually resonate with the story, that kind of childhood you had of being really driven and being in a cycle, not knowing any different, but it led to you having this ability to succeed in life by just focusing on achievement, and then becoming aware of what it is that you really wanted to be in a very different environment, and that leading to the life you're living now. What advice would you give to people out there who may be in a similar situation, or they may be in a corporate role now and thinking there's something else that I should be doing in my life, and yet I'm not sure? What piece of advice would you give to them?
yeah. And when you were talking, actually also a big piece that for me has been key, a game changer, is moving from the head to the body, or you can call it the heart as well. Like it's this has been massive, because and that can talk to people that are very sensitive. Sometimes we block to the mental to analyze it, make sense of it, to not feel too strongly, because when we are young, of course, there is not so many filters, and we just like, and unconsciously we just create like some defense mechanism. And for me, again, I can say that now, looking back with all that I have learned about myself, also about the human being in general, like how we function. But that's a massive one as well. And you mentioned it as well, like when we work with leaders, managers, like I work with also, innovators, which are so smart, with brilliant ideas, and very studious as well, because they have done so many studies. And then it's very much here. And like, is how can we bring all of that like to the body, and live and lead from another space that is also more embodied, because you can understand concepts, you can understand and have a lot of knowledge, but if you don't bring it to that feeling, that really embodiment, it will never have the same impact for you or for others, because it's something then that is felt. And you were talking about energy earlier. This is the difference. I mean, of course, I take care of my energy, because this for me is part of that personal responsibility and part of that personal leadership that one needs to have, with his own like centering of oneself in his own truth. But it's there are so many things. But to answer your last question, I would actually, for me, it all starts with oneself. So, what we have been talking a bit like during that conversation, that personal leadership, that for me, it's really about that intimacy. So knowing oneself, but not only, it's really creating and nurturing that intimacy with yourself that you will then be able to have with others. And that means what I have said before, it's like feeling, like being in that emotional, but it's also that awareness, because you don't know what you don't know, and you cannot change what like you're not even aware that needs to be changed, or that is actually harmful or deserving. So for me, that intimacy is about, awareness, curiosity. So having that open mind to open yourself to maybe something else, that's the first step, I would say. And then that acceptance, that for me, if there is one ingredient that would definitely change someone's happiness, like for more happiness, is acceptance. Because what happens most of the time is that we don't accept what is. And when I say what is, it's just what's happening inside yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically, energetically, and then externally, a person that talks to you a certain way, or the weather, or, like whatever it is that is under your control or not under your control. But that creates so much frustration. So there is that part in that personal leadership of really, navigating those spaces and being aware of them. And then there is that maturity, and that creates also that inner security. Because for me, leadership is really bringing yourself. Because a leader, if you think about it, that's my definition. I didn't look it up really like now in the dictionary, but my definition is a leader is someone that influence, and it can be yourself, someone, an idea. There is an impact, an influence. So for me, personal leadership is leading you, is really bringing you to your ideals, like to where the person you want to be, the life you want to live. So there is something in the unknown and the mystery of life, because everything is uncertainty, movement constantly. So how can we create that awareness, clarity, and at the same time that maturity, inner security, to feel safe in yourself, in the world, so that you can navigate with more serenity. And in that maturity, for me, it brings like those solid foundations of, again, if you don't know certain things, it's very hard, because sometimes it's not that you're crazy or that you are the only one having like certain, like freak out or fears. No. But, the fact of knowing it's normal, it already, and then you can have some strategies to respond. But first you need to be aware, then you need to understand a bit what's going on, and then you can respond. And not being in that reaction, which is more the reaction, an automatic, unconscious, reaction. And the response is something more conscious. You choose. There is another, like space from which you will say, okay, I do that. And then the confidence that we talk about is very important. And then for me also in that leadership is that personal responsibility. It's radical responsibility for your thoughts, your words, your behavior, your energy, even the circumstances. And when I say circumstances, it's just like not blaming, not being in that, this is happening to me now, because, everything that is outside is a reflection of something inside. So I'm not saying that if, you are not happy with your life is your fault. It's just being open to eventually be that adventurer and explorer of, okay, what's going on here? And knowing that you have that inner power inside, and that you can adjust, and little by little, step by step, really start to co-create another reality for yourself, So this is what is the first step, that personal leadership. And then those strategies is all included in that. But I would say it's just like first awareness. I think you cannot really do much if you're not even aware of what's going on. So awareness, observation, and checkings, with yourself, am I still aligned? But I think those is very, you cannot start with just awareness. You need to start with some reference point. And for me, the reference point is like, okay, who do I want to be? Even leadership, here we talk leadership, but honestly, the first thing I would encourage any leader, and is what I do with my clients, for example, is like, okay, you want to be a better leader, but what does that even mean? What is leadership for you? What does that better leader mean exactly in your own, words, articulation, mind, because we need to see where we tend to, we need to be clear as well of our needs, desire. And, for example, with Let It Happen, there is a strong emphasis about the natural rhythm. I feel we all have, well, it's not a true, like, of course we have all different needs, but also we have on our own rhythm. Some people will be more effective in the fast paced and they love it and they recharge with people, and some recharge alone. They need to slow down, and this is important, and it can also fluctuate by seasons, but being in tune with our own rhythm, with our own ecosystem, internal ecosystem, if I can say so. And because that will really help you be and sustain that leadership, because you know what is it, you know what you want to tend to, and you can recheck if you are aligned or not with what you want to be, or at least, with what you engage yourself to be. So there are so many different aspects, but yeah, these are for me are the first that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I love it. And this is my final question for you. So I'm really interested, with all the energy you have and where you are right now in your life, what is it that you're going to be making an impact on in the world in the next 3 to 5 years? And if people want to work with you, collaborate with you in some way, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, making an impact for me, it's all around Let It Happen. So really rebalance, like it's really bringing harmony between that feminine and masculine energies inside ourselves and also in our leadership, So, and coaching, for example, is also a way of bringing that togetherness, because in that feminine energy, there is no, even if hierarchies in everything, in nature as well, it's just like there is a more circling energy and togetherness, and it's not that, like I'm superior or I'm telling you what to do, but so it's really, bringing a more innovative, conscious, creative leadership, first for, from the inside out. So for people that want to be in that personal leadership for themselves, have a more like, fulfilling life than work life. And then, if you want to have a project and creating. And what I want is really to have a Let It Happen hub, and this is what will happen also this year, is having a space that will certainly be a membership space where there are a lot of resources, but also a possibility to connect and also meet because I need also to nurture people that really want to be in the space, and that also be with my energy way more focused and not speaking to, like, because with social media, also different projects, sometimes, your voice on your message can get lost because there is so much, and depending on the consumer behavior, it might not be valued, or at least have that, because I really think that if someone wants to be here, there is that in and out, like that exchange, that it will also benefit me, because I feel that, like there is more feedback, or people really have they show up, and also for them, they will have more of my, like exclusivity, let's say, and things that I will not share. So this is important for me to start to create, like the community around like very set spaces, so that people can also start organically, also just, collaborate also with themselves, because that's the beauty of it all, like if we can all bring some our uniqueness, our gifts, and then there is no competition, because there is no to you, there is no to me, but if we can just like have like complementarities, or even like being in different projects together. I think that's the future. So this is what I have in mind, and how people can contact me. Jennifer at letithappencoaching.com. I have I have LinkedIn, Instagram, my website also, www.letithappencoaching.com. And for everybody who wants to have a more fulfilling life, for more well-being, prosperity, joy, like all that we're looking for actually, but just being with more magic in your daily as well.
Well, Jennifer, I've really loved being in your energy today. So really thank you for coming onto the show. I think all the leaders that are out there, all the people listening and watching this have gained something that they can take away about how they, first of all, need to lead themselves. And then by leading themselves, changing who they are in relationship with others, so they can then lead others effectively if that's what they're required to do in their lives. And how they might just take a different approach to actually looking inwards and this more being than doing. So I really appreciate all of the things you've shared, and thank you once again for coming onto the show.
Well, thank you to you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Confessions of a Successful Leader. You can access all previous episodes of the show at confessionsofaSuccessfulLeader.com. If you are interested in finding out more about conscious leadership and self-coaching, just type in Andrew Tallents into LinkedIn or your favorite browser, and you'll find my contact details and all the content that you need. Until next time, don't forget to stay present, curious, and above all, conscious.